The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 162. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Visit our blog at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a special lady on who's all the way from Singapore. She is the director of her own company, which is called Singapore Pain Solutions. And, I'm just glad to have her on so she can share her story about self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Jenny Lee. Jenny, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
My name is Dr. Jenny Lee. I'm a chiropractor, currently working in Singapore. Singapore Pain Solution is a company I built with my husband, Dr. Jeff. We have been in Singapore for last 4 years. Before that, we're practicing in Hong Kong, South America. I was born in China, but I grew up in Iowa, United States, all the places in the world. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Jenny, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
So I think I said in my slides, actually by myself, I will say. If I cannot be inspired to be myself, how could I inspire other people? So I think this quote is kind of reflecting on if you don't have the inner light within yourself, and I think it's very difficult to inspire and influence others. So based on that, I kind of on a self-discovery, self-journey to find what does it take to be my own inspiration.
I love it, and I love that you created your own quote. I think that's amazing, and especially like if you really want to inspire others, it does have to start with you, right? Like when they say, be the change that you want to see in the world, the change has to start with you, and that's when you can start, inspiring others, going out there and showing them what's possible. So, great quote. I love it. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
I think in self-confidence, a lot of people that's mistaking that as practice. Let's say, if I'm not very good at, let's say, play golf. So I'm not even very confident in playing golf. So what I can do is I just keep practicing it. So one day I'll be confident in that. So I think that's like a kind of a common misunderstanding of confidence coming from the practice. But I think from my journey of the self-discovery, I do find out the self-confidence is what comes from within. Let's say if you are not comfortable or confident with your appearance, your physique, your career path, your relationship, or your family, then although all that lack of confidence will shows up in that aspect of your life. So in order to have that, making sure you have the self-insurance, basically is, you're comfortable with who you are, your own identity, your own image, and the confidence will come naturally rather than through practice.
I love it. And it's so true, right? Self-confidence is an inner work. And I think, most of us feel like we need to find it externally when it's always been inside us, and we just have to learn how to tap into it and be aware of it. So I love your definition. And what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
Actually, as a Chinese girl growing up in Iowa, as you know, mostly white, I was one of those handful of students who are not white in school. So I definitely stand out. And from time to time, I kind of resent my parents being Chinese, like, why can't I be white if I'm white? Things will be a lot easier for me. I can have more friends. People will like me. So that's a kind of like a false identity I've been struggling with all those times through high school. And it kind of lingers through in college, because if it is something you're not complete or you're not like comfortable with, it will always shows up, be just in different form or different way. So that shows up in my career. Sometimes I don't think my employer is treating me fairly. I'll say, oh, that's because I'm a woman. That's because I'm a minority. That's why they're not treating me fairly. And that, rather than looking into my own responsibility, am I doing what I need to do to do to be a good employee. So I spent about a year to kind of go on this self-discovery journey to find out, what I'm lacking, why I am not progressing in my career, in my life, and why I'm not getting the things I want in life. So through that, I find out, sometimes I use this lack of confidence as a crutch or excuse to not progress. So once I come to that realization and finally just kind of like recognize this is what I've been doing, blaming and trying to resolving that. So once I tried to resolve that, I think things have gone a lot different from that point onward.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I can relate to you, right? I mean, my family moved to Canada from the Philippines, and, sometimes when you're talking to people, it's like, you're talking to them and you feel like you're an American or Canadian, and then you walk by the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I'm Asian. I totally forgot.
Yeah, exactly.
because you feel like you're Canadian or American all your life, and then you look in the mirror, it's like, no, I'm definitely not white. I'm Chinese or, I'm Asian.
Yeah, exactly. It's something.
So I can totally relate to what you were talking to. But, after that year of self-discovery, I mean, what's your life have been right now?
Oh, it has been tremendous change, I would say, during that 1 year. Initially, I just want to have better career path because my career was plateauing. I wasn't very progressing in my job, and I just don't know at that time. I was like, what can I do to make myself better? So, and then I realized, because of this lack of confidence, I wasn't taking the risk I wanted to. I always, maybe like giving up too quickly and saying like, oh, because I'm not confident, I'm not good at this, so I give up so quickly. So after that, I started taking more risk and just kind of have this attitude like, I will just do it. If I failed again, it's okay. I'll just do it again. I will do it over and over until I get there. So that kind of translates to what we have right now, which is a company. We had a lot of difficulty in the beginning, but it's okay. There will be some challenge on the way, and we just find a solution and do it over again. Finding that in my competition, my first competition back in February was with the National Amateur Bodybuilding Association. I was placing second last. It's okay. I know I didn't win, but it doesn't mean I will not win next time. So I just keep going and don't give up. And during my second competition, which is 2 weeks ago, I won a title. I was within the top 15 among 35 contestants. So I think what I really get out of this is, just kind of not entertain the thought of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not strong enough, I'm not pretty enough. So don't entertain that thought, but just get into actions. And don't give up so quickly. And sooner or later, you will see results.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, Jenny, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
Don't entertain the thoughts of you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, or you're not tall enough. I mean, as a bikini competitor, you are wearing 3 little pieces of swimming suit, barely cover your parts, and you have 10 people watching you with the pen and paper ready to mark off points, whatever they don't like. I mean, if you start to entertain that thought, you probably don't want to jump into that decision, need to competing and whatnot. So just, if you do have that thought, it's like, I don't want to do this because I'm not young enough to do this or not good enough to do this. I don't have experience. It's okay. No, everybody has to start somewhere. If you're struggling right now, don't worry. Just do it. Whatever you're lacking, you can make it up by experience, by not giving up, discipline, and hard work. So trust yourself in that.
Awesome. Thanks for the lovely tips. And, it's true, right? The more you can just stop focusing on what's on your flaws and more of your strengths, that's when you can come out and do the things that you want. So I love what you mentioned. And Jenny, if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram, Dr. Jenny Lee, DrJennyLi, as well as my Facebook, Jenny Lee DC. You can connect me there or sending me messages if you are struggling anything in your life. One thing I do notice is that once I start to share my journey with changing my physique, because I was a bit chubby back then. Back in September last year, I was about 65 kg and close to 30% body fat. And 2 weeks ago, I was about 42.4 kg, which is the leanest weight I have ever had since high school. And I was down to 17% body fat. So a lot of people has been watching my transformations and, just ask me questions that. And I always, I didn't really expect, I'm just really sharing my experience. And there are actually people interested in that. So, I would love to answer all your questions, what you're struggling with your physique exercise or career-wise. It's always bring whatever problem you have into a conversation because the more you talk about it, less severity the problem seems to be.
Awesome. And congrats on your amazing transformation. That is so awesome. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Jenny, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Jenny's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I really want to thank Jenny for taking the time to share her story and journey with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It was an honor to have you on. So to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetaoofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about today, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more. Start your inner journey to self-confidence today.